Hello, 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 Cassidy. Welcome to your reading. So let's just get everything sorted here. Okay, that looks good. All right. You cannot minimize Zoom when you're recording. It's unfortunate. Anyways. Okay, so real quickly, let's share screen and just show the chart that we are dealing with today. For some reason, my solar fire, the application I use or the program I use is being very annoying, and it's not letting me maximize this. I can't zoom in either, but whatever. So here it is. We're dealing with a Cap rising, 20-degree Cap rising with Uranus rising, just under the ascendant, and Sun in Virgo conjunct Venus, and Mars and Moon in Aries conjunct the South Node, and then Mars in Scorpio, 12th house Jupiter in Sag, and where's Mercury at? Where are you at, Mercury? Mercury in, oh, there it is, in Libra. Okay, so really quickly, or not really quickly, how I like to start my readings is I like to speak about the relationship between the sun and the moon. This is just super, super important because they're the two most important parts of a chart. So in essence, when your sun is in Virgo and your moon is in Aries, you have an earth sign as your sun, Virgo, which is conjunct Venus, which is going to really, really help with some of that Virgo energy, which can be a little bit anxious sometimes, a little bit OCD, but the Venus is going to really smoothen things out and add more of like a flow to you. And we'll talk more about that. And then, so Virgo Sun, we know, you know about your sun sign. I mean, we don't have to go too far into it. We know how organized and how on point Virgos are, and they're very dependable people. Earth ruled, Mercury ruled. They can be very, very logical in the mind, analytical, very pragmatic, logical people, really engage in the material world a lot of the times. And it's an earth sign, so it's very good with routine. It wants to be of service. It really it's here for a purpose that a lot of times they work well with other people. And I don't really need to go. I'm very, very like health oriented. They like to have their routine set, and they can be very, very perfectionist. So every Virgo has to really watch out for this perfectionism, right? This mindset of of setting unexpected, like impossible to get to ideals, right? Like I have to get to 100 or I'm 0. That's like the thing with Virgo, where you have to learn to just kind of like let life go, let yourself not be perfect every day. I always say in my readings, like when someone has Virgo in their chart, to kind of take a step back each day and rate your day on a scale of from 0 to 100, and even like starting the day. Some days we just don't have it, and just being like, okay, if 60 is the best I can give today, then that's fine. And just learning that self-love and self-compassion, which Venus in Virgo also would indicate that you would be someone who's hard on yourself. And it's going to have a direct effect on your love life as well. So yeah, but generally people that have Venus conjunct Sun, they do value themselves, and there is a very strong romantic streak in that person. So for the Virgo energy, it's just all about like getting past that perfectionism, because what happens is when you don't deal with what's inside in terms of that, it gets projected outwardly to partners and whatnot, right? Which is never a good thing. I've been with a girl who has Virgo Venus before, and she was just like the most, and hers was in the 12th house, so it's way worse than where yours is. And she was just like the most critical person of all time, just like, this is wrong with you, this is wrong with you, this is blah 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 blah. And really, she was just the one that was messed up. So, anyways, so then you have, it's in the 9th house. Talk about that in a little bit. Moon and Aries. So Moon and Aries, it's a very very assertive moon sign. It's all about action. It's all about now. It's like people who have Moon Aries, they tend to be this have this inner masculine energy. They're like this, and it's also, I always think of them as like they have the inner warrior. They're very able to bounce back from whatever comes up in life, right? And the moon also rules the instinct. So under stress, you might be someone who needs to adventure, needs to try something new, and needs to be challenged by whatever it might be in life that gets you rolling, right? It's that fire part of you. So the way these two work out is and it's a it would be a quincunx, elemental quincunx, so that they don't really have that much to do with each other, Virgo and Aries, but they can be worked together because sometimes Virgos and earth signs in general, that they have difficulty starting. Like they're very good at the follow through with projects and whatnot. But the fire part of you is going to make you like a very big self-starter, right? So that's really, really good. So you can kind of use the fire part, the Aries part, to get yourself started on different projects, or whatever, if it's learning something new, or having the courage, that fire courage, to just be like, I have the idea and now I go, right? And then the Virgo part can really, really give you that routine and everything that it takes to actually accomplish the goal over the long term, right? People who have too much fire, they tend to sort of have difficulties when it comes to following through, right? While they might be really good in the getting started, they might start a bunch of stuff. So overall, your chart, you have the Earth with your sun, your ascendant. You have the fire with your moon. You have air with you have all elements. So I don't have to give you a speech. You have the water, Mars, and Scorpio, and the Earth, Mercury, and Libra. So no need to give you that speech of if you're missing an element or too much in one element. But yeah. So then Aries Moon, and I'm gonna stop share. So basically, yeah. So with the Aries, it's definitely like it can be a little bit impulsive. There can be some anger issues with people who have the Aries Moon. And yeah, just like it's very, very good to have like a physical outlet, right? Something you're doing that just keeps you active. It's a very big go-getter energy. So that, I would assume that you are very successful. Like when you put your mind to something, you can really go towards it. And to go even further with that is your Capricorn rising with Uranus rising. So that kind of, even though you're Capricorn rising, the fact that you have Uranus on your rising makes you almost like a Capricorn / Aquarius rising. So Capricorn rising goes really well. It's forming an elemental trine. Well, trine's your Venus, and it's elemental trine with your sun, and basically it kind of makes it so you have this real responsible outer personality, right? And it makes your chart ruled by Saturn. So a lot in your life is ruled by karma, which Saturn in the 3rd house. And basically there's also with the Uranus, there's a huge rebellious streak to you, right? So you might go through lots of changes in your, I guess you could say a external kind of outer personality, right? And you'll always be someone that's more eccentric, more beating to the beat of your own drum, while there's kind of this push and pull, because the Capricorn part of you, Capricorn rising part of you, will be more about how do you say, it's usually more traditional, more about just following the mold. And I always say Capricorn rising people are the people who, if there's two people equally qualified for a job, the Cap rising person is the one who's going to get the job, right? Because they just have this semblance of responsibility, and they know what they're very reliable people. And that's also going very well with the Virgo. So it's really good for anything like school, work, career, whatever you put your mind to. And I think that the Aries, actually, the Aries Moon, which is conjunct your South Node, which means that you brought this Aries Moon instinct from a past life. It's very, very karmically linked. This Aries Moon, we'll go more into that later on this reading. So yeah, a lot of times Capricorn rising can be a little bit cautious, but with, you know, these energies here, you're going to just like the way you're going to express yourself in the world is going to be very out of this, like otherworldly, because there's also Neptune that's it's 6 degrees away. So it's more with, but still in the first house in the whole sign. So yeah, there's going to be a real mix of like eccentricity and otherworldliness, dreaminess, kind of like, to your outer personality. So all I know about you is that I always make sure not to look anything up about my clients. I know you're a psychic. You told me that. So it makes sense, you know, that you would be willing to take on a role in society, even though that's more midheaven energy, but still, like, you've never been afraid to stand out and to go for the more spiritual types of expression in your life. But you're able to do this, all these things that, right, like maybe like being a psychic in a very, very measured way. So that's very, very awesome. And I have a feeling potentially you might have like your hobby, right? The thing that like makes that you're passionate about, and then like the money maker. And then you're really working hard to have the passion become the money maker. Because, you know, Virgo Capricorn can be very, very hardworking, very multi-talented. You have to really watch out for workaholism and working too hard also. That's something I'll tell you. So, okay, so your chart rule is Saturn in the third house. Saturn in the third house can reveal karma with siblings. It could also like speak about like a big karmic impetus of finding your throat chakra, your voice, your real authentic voice. And, you know, sometimes like your early communication and your early way of being, I guess you could say, early way of expressing yourself could have been thwarted early in childhood. And this could have led to like some fear and true authentic self-expression, especially since you have this Uranus Neptune energy on your ascendant. You might have like instinctually as a kid just like put so much like maybe been the kid that's interested in aliens, you know, or maybe the kid interested in this and that. And it may have like caused you in some way, and we'll take a look at other aspects, to just like almost like zip it, you know? So it's like a big part of your karma is like building up the skill in communicating, right? Of your communications. And a lot of that has to do with, and it could also, you know, take on the meaning of like having difficult karma with your siblings, or siblings if you have any. So, and then Saturn and Pisces will make you a very like intuitive, compassionate worker. But there can be some fears, right? There can be some fears and anxiety. And usually Saturn and Pisces people have like really, really strong karma, because, you know, Pisces is the last sign, Saturn, the planet of karma. They have really, really strong karma to work through in this lifetime. So I'm curious. I know you don't have a follow-up. Let me know if you want to schedule it. I don't know if we talked about that already. I'd say 90% of my clients get the reading plus the follow-up, and I highly, highly advise it. And if you're interested, I'll still give you the follow-up for the same price it would have been if you just had bought them both together. So just remind me of that if you're interested. But I would love to kind of hear if it was more about, more about the siblings or the communication part. So definitely big stuff there. And it will change. A lot of the energies will clear around the Saturn return, right? That's around, 29 and a half years of age. You'll feel a lot of this energy kind of claw away and become more easy. And then you'll be able to be a very, very effective communicator. So also your sun is opposing Saturn, meaning that like the sun is 180 degrees away from Saturn, which basically that could give further clues into this, because the sun typically represents the father or the more dominant parent. So this whole theme of like the finding your voice maybe could have been like rather strict or structured or like conventional, traditional parent that kind of led you towards that. I imagine that your parents probably have like a lot of like they're probably like not very similar people. I'm not gonna like say that they got divorced. It's possible, but I would just say that they had that if you had to summarize the overall messages that your parents gave you, they'd be two extremely different messages, right? So yeah, so with that opposition with Saturn, it can make you like kind of hard on yourself, and it can make you doubt, like kind of second guess yourself, and just like in your road towards, because your sun's in the ninth house, so that means you're on this like epic search for truth, right? You're like really here to find truth, to find like a higher, like you're really like someone who probably like likes to travel a lot, and whether that's traveling physically or metaphorically, and you are really here to like figure out who you are, and test on different philosophies, and figure out like ultimate truth. That's like a huge part of your mission, right? Because the sun's in the ninth house. And you're gonna have lots of luck on that too with Venus there, and it's also like a really, really good thing for like having like romantic relationships with people from different cultures, and also like lots of like beautiful experiences when you travel, or when you like travel metaphorically or physically, right? Or astral travel in your case. And it's also, wow, I just realized you're psychic and you have Jupiter in the 12th house. That's like the ultimate like psychic energy, right? 12th house is like the, kind of collective unconscious, like the real hidden area, right? That's dark, right? It's a dark part of the chart. And for you, Jupiter, it's almost like a lantern in that area. So, So Moon in the fourth, and we'll get back to those aspects after that. Moon in the fourth people, they are very much, how do you say it? So even though you're a fiery moon, you like to do new things, you like to move around, you like to experience lots. You're probably very like someone who's very physically involved. I would imagine that like Virgo and Aries people like together, that would be like someone who like works out, does something physical, takes good care of themselves. You definitely have like a real need to have like your cocoon, like you're really, really comfortable home. Even if you do travel, because you have that ninth house sun, you'll be someone who like seeks out like this real comfort, like even when you're away from home. So for example, like let's say you go on a vacation somewhere, you might be the type who like really, really like does better when you're in like a comfy Airbnb, as opposed to like a place that's just like, I don't know, like a hotel or something that's just like not very warm and welcoming and homey. So also fourth house moon gives you a really, really strong attachment to your family. I can still totally share the screen. I haven't been looking at any notes. So yeah, so like huge attachment to the family. So it's kind of like the house of Cancer. So you'll and with the rulership of Aries ruling the fourth house, there could be also some like real fiery energy when it comes to your family. And then Mars being in Scorpio in the 11th house, that makes me think of like your family, like you might feel like your family is your friends sometimes. Like there's like this energy of like your family is your friends, but there's like can be really these like power plays that play out within your actual family of origin and your family that you've created, right? Let me just plug my phone in real quick. So that is very important to watch out for that. And where's Black Moon Lilith? It is in okay, so it's unrelated. Yeah, so basically that's so that's the moon. And the moon also, I think it squares Uranus, if I'm correct. Yeah, so it squares Uranus and even more precisely Neptune. So okay, moon square Neptune is like, I look at it as like overly empathetic energy. Like you're such an empath, even though you only have one water planet, which is the Mars. You really need to spend time alone, not all the time, not be like a loner, but you might like really, really like take in like the collective energy, especially as a psychic with Jupiter there, which is going to be beneficial. Also, Jupiter in that position is going to really help you like when you're sleeping or when you're in meditative states, or just like it's going to give you like a lot of spiritual protection over enemies as well. And it's going to be, it's very beneficial for spiritual protection, this Jupiter you have here. But yeah, the moon square Uranus, that gives like in square Neptune, that, so this moon square Neptune gives, or moon square Neptune, like I said, it's like you really have to, even though you're an Aries moon, like there can be this feeling of like feeling too much of the suffering around you, right? And as a healer, right, where's your Chiron? I literally was like, where's your Chiron? It's around your midheaven, so you're meant to be a healer. Like I didn't even see that. You're meant to be a healer. You have, like, the lesson is so important of like not taking in other people's energy, right? Not getting that burnout. And for you, that's extremely important because you take in so much. So you have to really learn these skills of being able to kind of like push the other people's energy away. And this is linked to your karma because the South Node is squaring these as well. So yeah. So, and then the moon square. So all I'm saying now is taking on like a past life karmic, I guess, impetus or like origin, right? So it's something that like was occurring in your recent incarnations as well. So then moon square Uranus, that, and this could also be like a lot that's inherited from the mother. So there could be lots of past life karma with the mother that's meant to be really applied in this life. But the moon square Uranus, I'm going to stop the share now. I'm going to get into some notes here. Moon square Uranus ultimately is like, it's like a rebellious streak. When you have to watch out for with that, it can actually have a detrimental impact on, so like with the emotions, like on one hand, like the Neptune square can make you kind of have like this energy where it's like you might like be like paranoid and sometimes like think something that isn't true. So it's really important to have like very grounded friends or people that you can really trust to kind of like, hey, like this is kind of how I perceive that situation. Like on a really high psychic level, you do an amazing job, but on a more like basic, like easy everyday level, it can be difficult, right? So just like there might be like some real fog in terms of like what you're getting, right? Like what's really happening, what you're getting. And then the Uranus, so it can have like a kind of difficult impact on relationships, because imagine like, I've dated, I feel like in every video, I'm like, I've dated a girl like this. Like, but yeah, I dated a girl who had this, and she like would like just get super paranoid and just like be like, oh, so this is what you think, and it was always wrong, So it really like made me feel uncomfortable, and like I think it had a very detrimental impact on the relationship. So moon square Uranus, that one is like, so maybe like your mother had like kind of like a rebellious, maybe she was like kind of like a hippie type energy. I'm not really sure, but someone who's maybe a little bit cool, distant. I'm not really sure. Like it's hard to tell, but essentially there's lots of karma. Maybe you guys have gone back and forth in past lives, like where one's been the mother, then the next one's been the mother. And like there's definitely lots of like transpersonal energy she probably holds. But it can give this almost compulsive need for stimulation, and this real rebellious streak where like even if like say there's like two options in a situation, you'll maybe automatically choose the one that's the rebellious one, even if it's like bad. So yeah, so it's like a very like exciting life full of change and peculiar events. But it's also like, yeah, it's very challenging, and it can really like more traditional people can really, and this kind of goes back to a theme like which with the Saturn and everything, like maybe in your early uprising, like like you just were rebellious, so it kind of like more traditional types of people, maybe it got in their way and kind of rubbed them the wrong way, which then maybe led to kind of like shutting of that chakra, so of the throat chakra. So yeah, it gives you like a very like unique way of doing things. Subconsciously, you're like drawn to anything new and shiny. So obviously, you can imagine that could have like a bad impact on relationships. And it's like from like an emotional level, right? So you can form like emotional bonds very quickly, but then there can be difficult maintaining these, especially being that you're an Aries moon, right? Which is like so much like boom, 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 yeah, so a lot of times it could come from like the emotional attachment from a parent, and like I said, usually the mother, but sometimes it's flipped. Like in my chart, my mom is the moon. My mom is the sun. My dad's the moon, because my mom played like a larger role in my life, in terms of like just like my dad's awesome, but like my mom is the sun. So so it can be like this like easily bored energy, and lots of times it comes from like, oh hey Mika, unorthodox. This is love. Mika, poopich, 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 poopy, poopy. Mika. That's my girl, my baby. So come on, Mika. Come on, come on. So yeah, basically, Mika wants to say something. Mika is an Aries Scorpio. So what's the synchronicity here? So Mika is actually wanting me to talk about your Mars and Scorpio next, because she's a double Scorpio. Mika, get your butt out. Come on my lap. Okay. So even though you may not like intend it to upset others, like there can just be like, like I said, like authority figures can like not like the lack of respect for tradition, but it makes you very entertaining and also like very like humanistic, humanitarian type of person. It can make you really interested in like psychology or anything that's kind of like stimulating. You'll do a very stimulating career and a very stimulating emotional life. So there's definitely implications for that in terms of dating. So okay, next we're talking about the so Mika wanted Mars, but we see how these all connect, right? Like the sun, moon, and rising. So it's like how it's really about that. Mika, you're gonna fall. So pitfalls with Aries moons, they can be very angry. Once again, I've dated multiple Aries moons, and they can be very, very impulsive and off the wall with their shit. And with the squares, it can just like imagine like there can be like the miscommunications, misunderstanding with the Neptune, and then the Uranus like flash of boom, boom, and then the Aries boom, boom. So it's like it can really like create. So like in terms of partnership, you do really, really well with someone who's like very grounded, kind of like what I've been learning lately about myself is like I actually like always thought I wanted a certain type, not to talk about me, but now I'm realizing that like I need like someone who's like earthy and grounded, and like earth energy is what I'm more interested in now. And it could be something similar for you where like even though you are an earth sign, you'll like maybe like water placements to be good for you, someone who can really understand that emotional and get you deeper into your own emotional undercurrents. So like let's see if I another thing with moon squared Neptune is it's super important how your mother nurtured you. It's more important than with most people, because people that have this aspect, they can literally hold on to their mom's shit and think it's their shit. And then so like any negativity shaped by your mom, so it's a really give or take, like huge. It could greatly shape your life, and this could be even like before you were even born, like when you're in the womb, because you're so subtle to sell energies and nonverbal cues, that like it's so super sensitive. So like examples of this is like her acting like a victim or actually being abused by the father. And it can lead to like escapism, like this aspect moon square Venus can lead to like drug abuse, like escapism, like that. So just like as an adult, like when you were young, your reaction to any unpleasantness or overstimulation would be to like withdraw into your own like imaginary world, like kind of Pisces type stuff, right? But then if there was like a healthier relationship, it would be way more healthy in terms of your emotional life. But a lot of times you'll tend to meet lots of women in your life that really challenge that. Sometimes people with this like have difficulties with women, you know what I mean? So the key with this is like expressing your emotions, like if it's through therapy or someone, like I said, someone with like water in their chart, a friend or, a partner, or whatever, who can really, take that in and really, really understand it. And really expressing the authentic emotions and showing your sensitive side in relationships. So really being vulnerable is super important. And also like really like sharing, like talking about your perceptions, your visions, your dreams, and just like asking for feedback about them and really like opening up and not thinking like, oh, because like the third house Saturn might have you thinking like, oh, I can't have like the throat chakra might be blocked. So it's like working on the throat chakra is so important. And also like when you share your sufferings with other people, like your real internal, I made that post on Instagram the other day talking about my mental health struggles. Like that's like a perfect example of like something like that. Like where you're open and you're showing like who you really are, and then people connect to you. And it's also like shyness can be overcome through that, right? Also, another thing with this Neptune energy is Neptune rules cameras, mirrors, screens. So like if you can like practice showing off in front of like a camera, you don't have to show anyone, or even a mirror, like and it can actually like get you better with this energy of self-expression of your emotions. Okay, so Mika, I want to talk about Mars. So Mars in Scorpio, that is in dignity, which means that the planet Mars, which is a planet of action, works best when it's in Mars or in Scorpio. So it's a very, very sexual placement, first of all. And it's that placement where it's like on a sexual level, you want to like really like form, like become one with your partner. And it makes for a very vengeful opponent too. And it's just like the ultimate Scorpio energy. Scorpio and Mars are people you don't want to fuck with. They are very vengeful. They're passionate warriors. They fight for what they believe in. And for you, it's in the house of friendships. So you'll have like a urge to make very many friends, and you'll really defend them like your family, like I said so before. And you may take on the role of leader in your friendships and your like friendships, groups, associations. You should also message me about a certain group that I have in mind. I don't say this to everyone, but you should message me about this on Instagram. Secret, top secret. So yeah, and you also may wish to like kind of like impose yourself. And this also is shown by Pluto in the 11th house. So that's showing that like groups of people, friends, also like ambitions, goals are a huge part for you in your karma in this lifetime, right? It's mega important. You'll feel really drawn to like powerful groups, and there'll be conflicts within them. But like the doorway to like, I guess you could say like the shadow, like, you have to like, Pluto is like where you follow your shadow into the underworld, and it gives you all the gold. So that is through friendships. Let me get my Pluto book. Oh, it's all the way over there. It's on my lap, but I don't really need it. So yeah, you really have the ability to form deep and profound friendships. So you have to watch out for like having this really, really dark energy in them, right? And being like overly domineering. And it's really close to your midheaven, or actually, yeah, and your midheaven is in the 11th house. So there's a really high chance that like whatever groups of people you're in, that there's going to be basically like it'll have a huge like impact in link to your career. Does that make sense? I know you can't answer me, but yeah. More Mars and Scorpio, and I'm going to get my Pluto book. I can't talk. Okay, so Mars and Scorpio also it's a very dominant. So like even though you're not a Scorpio, you might feel like a Scorpio because it's such a strong like having any planet in dignity is super strong, and it matches well with your moon. But you're going to be very not like, you're not a person to mess with. You're not a person to fuck with. Even though you're psychic and you've probably gone through an amazing spiritual expansion, you still are just not a person to fuck with. And it's very mystical, the Mars in Scorpio. It's very about death, rebirth, and transformation. And it really like pushes you towards having like lots of those where you're really shedding the snake skin per se. You know what I mean? But one really great thing about your chart is that you have this Mercury in Libra, which is giving you this really smooth way. Even though you're a very intense person, it gives you this very smooth and diplomatic way of speaking, where you're actually really considering the other person's like viewpoint and how like you're putting yourself in their shoes when you're having their, your communications, which is really good for all things business, all things relationships too. So it kind of smoothens out a lot of what we talked about before. I love this reading so far. I love when I'm in this mindset, this flow. And this is a 50-minute reading. I've been doing 75-minute readings lately, and now I'm thinking like maybe I want to switch up my times and have them and just like only do 60-minute readings. I know I'm thinking out loud, but yeah. Anyways, to be decided. I might just do that. I might do that. Okay, so looking back at the aspects, are we still on share mode? No. So yeah, the way that you deal with those lunar energies, the ones I talked about before, the square, the Neptune, the square, the Uranus, and that the whole mother is like the most major part of your karma, like or what, like one of the most major parts of your karma. The other most major part is what I'm talking about now with like the groups, right, of people and like how you deal with them. So let's talk about like the 11th house, Pluto. So you're really meant to be like a transformer in the groups. Okay, so the quest is a radical shift away from the karmic past, from who they have been, or from how others have seen them. Aquarius seeks to liberate from conditioning. There is a powerful need to detach from the external environment and social groupings in order to see those interactions with a new perspective. Okay, there's a powerful need to detach from the external environment and social groupings in order to see these interactions with a new perspective. Sometimes we need to step out of our familiar routines to understand the patterns that play out in our lives. So you hear this? So this could lead to resistance as it is such a high evolutionary intent. Stop, Mika. Speaking of evolutionary intent. One fear is that going towards individualism will lead to isolation. And this is really interesting with your chart because you do have so much individualism, like Uranus rising, right? But then there's also this real traditional kind of Virgo earth part to it. So one fear is that going towards individualism will lead to isolation. So this can be linked to traumatic past life memories of potentially being ostracized, and the South Node ruler will tell more. Which one sec, I want to see the aspects too. Which is squaring all those signs. So maybe it has something to do with your mother, and your emotional nature to be like, I think you just have like a really big like past life, like karmic tendency to be a rebel and to kind of beat to the beat of your own drum. That with your North Node Libra, you're really here to really, it's a huge thing for you to work well in groups and to be more diplomatic, to be more like, what's the word? Like where you give yourself a little bit more and where you're really thoughtful for like other people and stuff. Because maybe you've been a little bit selfish in past lives. And I think your mom in some ways is mimicking this karma. I really hope you get a follow-up because this is a loaded reading. So yeah, furthermore, these issues need to be understood now. There's a need for alliances. There's a need for alliances with like-minded people. Once again, I said, hit me up about a certain group. Through groups or friendships in this life. The key with this placement is the urge to individuate, to become the person that one always wanted to be, free of past traumatic influences and conditioning factors. To the extent that a group supports this process, it is useful. Wow, I read a lot about this one. But the point at which it begins to block this process signals a problem. So it's all about finding groups that you authentically, like what you've gotten is, you're already accepted, you're a psychic, you're a healer, you've already gotten to that point. So it's about finding these groups, and you're going to join my group, or if you want to, but I know you're going to. So one has to act on the impulse to free themselves from this past, as they may face alienation in the current life. So the Polarity Point Leo is the need to creatively, this is like the healing, to creatively self-actualize in order to express the potential to move beyond the disassociation produced by trauma into a more creative period of recovery. Individual finding their individuality within groups. That's huge. Finding a purely selfish impulse of creative evolution. Interesting. Where are we at time-wise? because you got the 50-minute, didn't you? 39. Okay. So okay, in essence, so lots of energy, like, and so you're really meant to. So we go the North Node, which is like the mountain never climbed in past life, like the destiny mark, really like where you're really meant to go. Well, the South Node ruler is Mars. We talked about that right there. South Node ruler is like the been there, done that, who you were in a past life. So you've been this like very domineering kind of person in a past life, this mystical person, but you really have been that person that beats to the beat of your own drum. I mean, maybe you stick close with your family, but you beat to the beat of your own drum. And also these emotional patterns, the Neptune square moon, the Neptune square Uranus, that you should study more. You should watch YouTube videos on and read all kinds of like Google stuff, but on moon natal, not transit, natal moon square Neptune, natal moon square Uranus. This is from your past lives. So these are extremely important. I want you to go deeper into this. And if you do the follow-up, we can really focus on those. And I also do astrological counseling. And if I were to do, and I'm just saying this, I always like kind of like let people know like what I do. It's not just birth charts, because I have 2 masters in psychology. If I were to do astrological counseling with you, I would probably focus extensively on these aspects, these aspects. But you know, the reading is kind of the introducing you to it. This astrological counseling is the actually continuous working through of it. So, in essence, with the North Node Libra, South Node ruled by Mars and Scorpio, what aspects does Mars and Scorpio have? But you're really here to learn diplomacy and to learn to what's the fucking word in English I always forget, when you not compensate, when you just like do things for other people and don't always put yourself first. It's such an obvious word. I live in Romania. My new friend, I speak to her a lot in Romanian, so yeah, I'm going to be becoming more and more Romanian, forgetting all my English. So yes. So Mars is, conjunct the North Node. So this, which is really interesting, because it's your South Node ruler is conjunct your North Node. I read about that the other day. It's square your ascendant. Okay, so wow. So okay, so the fact that your North Node ruler, let me present. Stop, Esmond. Well, Mika's creeping in the background. So okay, so this is what's really interesting. This is your South Node. It's in Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is right here, conjunct your North Node. So that's like really saying, Esmond, shut up. Sorry. God damn it. Esmond, stop yelling. I'm trying to think. You literally just broke my thought. God damn it. See, my Aries cat's being chill and my Cancer cat's being a little baby schmuck. The thing that's also funny about my cats is that, like, if I yell at Esme, she'll sometimes stop, and then she'll sometimes do exactly what she's doing right now, which is walk over to me and try to derange my session by biting all my wires. But the Aries one will just always listen. She's such a good kitty. But anyways, okay, enough about cats. So North Node. So basically, it's really going to this imbalance. Fuck, I have this in a book. I'm gonna be right back. This is like a really important thing. I don't think I've ever seen this. Or I maybe seen it once before. Like, this is a very rare thing to have, and I have my own ideas of it, but I know it's in this book, and I don't care if I spend 3 minutes finding this. I'm going to do that because that's just what I do. Okay, where the fuck was it in this book? Okay, so okay, so it was definitely in chapter 2. This is probably around like 1. 77. Okay, here we are. Squares, planetary nodes. Okay, so perfect. Okay, so now, now I can speak about, give more information on the squares you have to your nodes. So I'm definitely gonna go over in this reading, but that's just what I've been doing. So Uranus, squares and moons nodes. The unresolved material indicates a need for liberation from conditioning and liberation from the past. This stems in part from past wounding and from exposure to excessive conditioning influences. So with this, the nodal axis of the moon can be understood as a trauma signature, indicating that the unresolved trauma is a critical part of the skip step. And it's in the first house, so it has to do with the body of the self, of you really expressing your true authentic self. There can be some PTSD blocks to access the true self also. So with Neptune, the unresolved material pertains to the subtle issues of one's sense of ultimate meaning, one's dreams and ideals. The skipped step can therefore revolve around the loss of meaning, profound disillusionment, or despair that leads to loss of life force and will. In some cases, the negative ramifications are so extreme as to lead to catatonic disassociation. The Neptune skip step may also represent an unresolved dream or ideal that the person has suppressed or been unable as yet to fulfill and now demands exploration. Okay. The necessary discrimination required here is difficult to attain because the skip step involves a struggle to clarify the difference between the personal fantasy and the objective reality, which is why you're a Virgo, objective reality. Displacement can lead to spiritual crisis and transformation. Just as easily, this placement points to someone who has lost their spiritual way, who now wanders meaninglessly in cycles of despair, perhaps in compensating for the loss of drug addiction or blah, 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 blah. In rare cases, this person can be exposed to psychic attacks, someone who has been possessed by an unconscious, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So we see like more about the past life stuff. So where the fuck is this? I know I'm close. Okay. The ruler of the nodes conjunct the nodes. No, that's not it. It's close. Ruler of this. Okay, here it is. Ruler of the south node conjunct the north node, page 158. So with the ruler of the south node conjunct the north node, the necessity to repeat prior karma occurs early in life, south node ruler, in order to kickstart the evolutionary intentions for the future development. This is a signature that expresses a need to relive explicit events or themes symbolized by the planet ruling the south node of the moon, so that reliving them, the individual is propelled into the expression of the north node intention. So it's like it's like you would have been thrown into these events like we talked about before, like with the Aries Moon, the impulsiveness, like your instincts getting you in trouble, which then like pushes you towards that like Libra north node of and it also is very relational. We'll talk about that in a sec. So it is as if a karmic theater replays a certain theme that the individual had already in prior lives begun to learn from, but in being replayed, the need to move forward is clarified once again. Beautiful. I'm definitely keeping this right by me. So basically, like, yeah, you see, like it's pushed you into this position where you're really here to have that Mars energy towards that North Node in Libra. North Node in Libra, so it's also like in relationships, it's like not being so overly independent, like where you're being selfish in relationships. It's like I wish I could think of the word. Where you're willing to make, what's the word, for someone important, where you're willing to in essence, like, one second, I need to search something really quick. I hate when I can't think of words. It makes me so freaking sad. But anyways, yeah. So it's really important for you to find like lots of like equality in your relationships, and to just allow not like being too Aries in relationships when like you don't give a fuck about the other, like it's all about you, and being too Libra is like codependent. So it's like, it's not saying be codependent, but it's saying like be a little be allow more wiggle room for your relationships, because you've been, yeah, they're really going to help you a lot, like the one-on-one relationships. And also yeah, it's like a quest. So like even more than that, it's a quest for cooperation, which goes all the way back to the group stuff, where you have a tendency to want your own way and force your opinion onto others. So you need to develop selflessness, the ability to share, and a sensitivity to the needs of other people. That's another good way of saying it. And it's in the 10th house, so it's all done in the repaying your past life karma in the area of career and dharma. And it's like a quest for dignity in the eyes of the world, right? It's like giving back. So yeah, groups play a huge role in the karma. Okay, so we're getting closer. I'm probably already over, but I don't give a shit. Yeah, I am. Whatever. So with Venus, Venus opposite Saturn, that's gonna probably, like, the more meaningful relationships are until you learn to love yourself and not be like someone who self sabotages, and who 1 second. Sorry, I have a basketball game on. I literally don't look at it, but like there's just 4 seconds. I just want to see that one play. But anyways, so basically when you have like the Venus opposite Saturn, there's an energy where until you learn to love yourself, until you learn to like get past the lower energy of Virgo, and it's going to be difficult for relationships. And usually people who have a Venus opposite Saturn, there's like lots of setbacks in terms of finding those relationships. And it's usually towards like the meaningful ones come like after the Saturn return. With that said, you're like in love, you're going to need lots of freedom. You're going to really like go towards like a more, you're super, super creative too. Like with Venus trine Neptune, you're someone who can really like, not just put pen to paper, but also have the imagination. They're linked. Having the imagination, Neptune, the inspiration, and the Venus, which is like it's like the Neptune is like the idea of the painting, and the Venus is like the actual like physical doing it. So that's really, really good. The fact that it's conjunct your sun just gives you a charming personality, a charming sense of self, and almost like makes you very popular and less of a Virgo-y Virgo. Venus conjunct Chiron, so there's and it's also sextile Pluto. You're someone who like really wants it to transform and have these really transformational romantic relationships, and they transform in a positive way, and they're very, very karmic. And then with the Chiron conjunct Venus, that you're here to really heal yourself. So once again, it goes back to the Libra North Node. You're meant to really heal yourself in the arena of relationships. And also, like I said, relationships, but Venus is like what you value in yourself, and it starts inward. So it's lots of self-healing in this lifetime for you, my lass. I don't know why I said that. So yeah, Mars is just square the ascendant conjunct the North Node. So we talked about that. Okay, moving on. So Jupiter. So Jupiter in the 12th house, I already talked about that. That's just like energy of like seeking the meaning of life from deep within yourself. It's like that's the psychic energy you have. That's like the flashlight to the keys to the collective unconscious. Really, really good spiritual protection. I talked about that. Saturn, 3rd house, I already talked about that. The thing with with the voice and siblings. Uranus and Neptune, the 1st house. That could be difficult for like I already talked about Uranus, the 1st house, eccentric personality, an urge to express yourself in a very erratic and dynamic fashion, and you may defy conventions or be like a very unusual type of leader, and like really like very, very original, like very, very original like person. But it does, like I said, square all those other planets. Neptune kind of like similar, like 1st house, there can be like a real lack of boundaries. Stop my lap if you're gonna be here. A lack of boundaries between others and yourself. And there can be some vagueness in your self-expression. And lots of people with Neptune in the first house, their imagination has to play in to their like outer life. Like the visions you have from your dreams and from your psychic, that has to like psychic visions, it has to like kind of have a role in your personality, in your lifestyle, if that makes sense, right? And you really have like this ability to create a fantasy world of your own. But there can be this lack of clarity for who you are. So that's one thing. But the fact that it's Capricorn rising kind of pushes that away, because Capricorn rising is so firm, right? It's that rock energy. So Juno, just to kind of, oh, you have Juno on my moon. Oh, you must be in love with me. I'm just joking. But you have Juno at 21 Sag in 12th house. So you are, seeking in a married partnership, someone who has this like very adventurous side to them, someone who's also really on this search for truth. And like someone that definitely has a common belief system to you, and who's willing to like travel like metaphorically and physically. And in the 12th house, that just like doubles down on this whole like fatedness in terms of your intimate relationships, and a real desire to merge with your partner in like a spiritual way. So yeah, talk about this, talk about that. Chiron, on the MC, or not MC, on the 10th house cusp in Gemini, in Libra. That's just like talking about how Chiron and Libra, it's just like, it goes back to like imbalances in relationships, personal pain in relationships that you're here to heal, like both personal and impersonal relationships. And so there could have been like early wounding from a parent that actually mimics like the romantic relationship karma. And a lot of times it's with the parent of the opposite sex. And you learn a ton through your relationships. And you could be like someone who's like a counselor, obviously. Like, I'm not sure if psychic's the only thing you do, but in the 10th house, that means that like the pain is suffered. You feel kind of you can feel inadequate in the world. You have to, in like the outer world, you have to work really, really hard to get to a place to where you can actually, because you're really meant to be like a public figure in the sense of like how you are. Mercury's there too, so you're really meant to speak to the masses, right? And do it in a way that's very like Libra, So I already said Venus in the 9th house is in part of fortune in the 9th house, and vertex in the 9th house. Your doorway to higher awareness. This like, you need to travel. You need to like be seeking out new experiences that can help like lead you to your truth. And you have to watch out for being overly dogmatic also when you find your truth, and pushing it on other people, because that's kind of the shadow of that. And that can play out in different ways, even if you don't have any Sagittarius, or you have your Jupiter, but like, which can make that even more, because Jupiter makes everything bigger. So like, everyone has their own way and their own timing of getting to truth. So you just have to understand that and not force yours on other people, and let people come to it their own time. So finally, Black Moon Lilith in Cancer in the 7th house. So to me, Black Moon Lilith isn't a planet. It's a kind of like, it's like where the lower energy goes, I guess you could say, like if you're at your lowest energy. And that to me is it's very obvious. It goes along really well with the rest of your chart, is that when you're like, there can be like a fear of like when you've been hurt before in a relationship, of actually putting yourself out there again. And it's like the energy of the crab that climbs into their shell, right? The Cancer is like known for like, when it gets hurt, it climbs into its shell. It's unwilling to be vulnerable, unwilling to risk its like its feelings. It's so sensitive. So that's kind of what that's all about. And yeah, so you gotta watch that. And also using emotional manipulation to get your way in relationships. So yeah, just the relationships are massive for you, karmically. So there's lots. So I hope I answered your questions, and I really hope we can do a follow-up. If not, it's all good. Feel like if that's not a possibility for you, definitely like you can still send me like some voice messages, or even better, like something written, that just like tells me like what I was right about, if there's something that I was off about. But I do reserve like the actual like back and forth conversation because I am very, very busy with people who get the follow-ups. And Mika says hi. And yeah, one other thing. So like, yeah, part of fortune in the 9th house in Virgo, it's like when you're really, Mika, your greatest joy is experience, like your real flow is experience, like when you're going towards that greater strength. So she's greater truth, excuse me, higher truth. And in Virgo, it's like when like you really love to be like organized and clean, and also being of service to humanity is super important to you. And I think that's what you're doing already. And finally, Vertex, it's also conjunct part of fortune in the 9th house in Virgo. Vertex in the 9th house. It's just like, I think of Vertex as the doorway to higher awareness. So basically like, and where you're burning in California. So it's basically just like, yeah, it's once again like quadrupling, quadrupling or whatever down that like, like the whole foreign traveling thing and trying on different, like your doorway to higher awareness is through that Sagittarian way. So Sagittarius is really a huge sign for you. And also in Virgo, it's like you might feel like you're destined to help and heal other people. And yeah, so that's massive for you is being of service. Anyways, this was an amazing reading. This one felt really, really good and smooth. Thank you so much for your patience as well. And I'm going to get this out to you as soon as possible, but I'm feeling good. So I might just do what I rarely do and jump on a back-to-back reading right now. How about that? All right. Thanks a lot. And hopefully talk to you soon. All right. Bye-bye.